Is this him right here? This the guy right here. Apparently he password guessed the account 6 years ago, and because he did that, he got disqualified. Yeah, interesting. He's a YouTuber? Oh, is he a YouTuber? Let me look him up.
Everything you say about me is true.
I thought I was done. I really did. I was never gonna play a Roblox event ever again. But it's $1 million. Like $1 million.
Mega Edition is coming. Play through 25 experiences, complete quests, and rack up tokens to unlock exclusive UGC. The top 10 players will head to Roblox HQ for a live showdown with $1 million on the line. Ready to make history?
Yeah, this tweet honestly didn't seem real. Like, this is what I'm good at. This, specifically this. And now there's what, $8 million prize attached to it? But while I still couldn't believe it, I decided to get right to work. With what was at stake, this event wasn't something to be taken lightly, so using a Discord server from a tiny little ARG that me and a few others had won a couple months back, we started assembling a team. And this team ended up being so completely overpowered, so broken that... well, we'll get to that, but first I want you to meet the members. To start off, we've got TK, who had a pretty unprecedented run in the first 3 of the modern events, placing 14th in the hunt, 1st in the classic, and 1st again in the games, barring any leaderboard shenanigans in that event. This guy is kinda just built different when it comes to speedrunning events. After that we've got JaffK, and in a similar vein, Project. Both of them have had pretty incredible runs in all the previous events, with their best performances being Project placing 7th in the original hunt, and JaffK getting 2nd in the Winter Spotlight event. And then we've got Shayph and Andrew. Both of them are streamers, although they agreed not to stream this event, and they both dedicate way too much time to badgers, which are very similar in concept to these events. Shayph specifically is the owner of the Badger Hub, where you can be teleported to most badgers that have been created on Roblox. And it would also be wrong not to mention Supers and Krizzes, who, although they didn't directly compete in the event, were there in the Discord every step of the way, solving puzzles and whatnot. Both of them were also members of the original team, with Krizzes pretty much carrying us through nearly the whole of the ARG that we won. Then we've also got Harry and Zeg, the latter of which you might recognize from ZNAC videos from like 2017, but crucially they're both really good at Python, which means any coding that needed to be done, like a solver for example, they were there to create those tools. And then we've got arguably the big guns with people like Roby100, who's becoming a little bit of a recurring character on this channel. He's the creator of the easiest game on Roblox, which... damn. But crucially, he's also created 2 absolutely diabolical puzzle games where the whole premise is that you don't have any of the objectives given to you, which sounds a lot like this event. Not only that, but he had an absolutely catastrophic fail in RB Battles 3, with the boss bugging at the very end, causing him to be the 38th person to beat the event, and the grand prize only having 30 slots. It's worth noting he also dominated the puzzle challenge as Hasm did for Robux, somehow consistently outpacing everyone else to the answers. And then we've got Yaku, who was the very first person to figure out the final ending in the aforementioned easiest game on Roblox, and who was #1 on the classic leaderboard until he went to sleep, and #1 on the games leaderboard until he got softlocked by one of the games, and a lot more people that I just haven't mentioned, such as the 8th place victor of the hunt, or an owner of the Metaphones, or a person from Saskatchewan. But as incredible as the team lineup is, this video isn't really so much about the team's experience. Hell, it isn't even really about my personal experience. No, this video is about
complete domination.
It's about the unprecedented chokehold we seem to just have on this event. And it's also about this guy's experience. Levi. Someone who, as far as most people were concerned, wasn't really taking the event very seriously. I mean, he got the event badges here and there, but was always very tardy to the party, only getting them maybe a day after release. But that's not exactly true. Because before the event ever even started, Levi and myself started to do a little scheming. If this event was everything Roblox was making it out to be, wouldn't it be a good idea to just share an account? Like, you know, instead of staying up till 5 AM playing games, why not just take shifts. And this was actually a perfect arrangement for us. Levi wanted to play the event, but one of the participating games was Arsenal, a game which he had been banned from a couple years prior due to exploiting in a private server with a friend, and no matter how much he tried, he just couldn't seem to get unbanned. And not only that, but our time zones matched up almost perfectly, with it being 11 PM for him when I was waking up around 7 AM. This was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. So game day comes. Around 11 PM the game start to soft launch their objectives. And I'm about to go to bed. At this point in time we're still working under the pretext that this event will last maybe 48 hours. So when I wake up I'll just be able to pick up from where Levi left off without having to pause at all like a singular person would. But that was not the format. We were very wrong in our assumptions. By the time I woke up, I had pretty much slept through the entire solving process of floor 1, which meant that even though it was my account, I would not be able to contribute anything until the next floor. Here's a quick summary of how the format worked. Every few days, Roblox would release the mega tokens, or the secret tokens essentially, in batches. There was a linear order you had to get these tokens in, an order which would be hinted at by Roblox through various means, although later on the hints were found exclusively in-game. Every batch was referred to as a floor, and was therefore broken up by a floor puzzle, which acted as one final choke point for someone who managed to get all of the mega tokens for that floor. And this is crucial info because Levi is one of the smartest people I know, at least from like a mathematical standpoint. And that does kind of seem to carry over to logic puzzles such as these. Just keep that in the back of your head while we move on. Anyways, the event would consist of 5 floors, each having 1 additional mega token over the previous one, so the final floor would have 7 of them. When I woke up here, all 3 mega tokens for the floor were already solved, so the only thing I really did was finish up a few of the remaining basic quests. That was it. And the normal tokens probably aren't why you clicked on this video, so here's a singular frame of each of them. Let's figure out the mega tokens now. Before the event, Roblox posted a tweet saying,
I have an app piled up in wholeheartedness.
If you rearrange the letters, this spelled out,
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
and one of the games in the event was SpongeBob Tower Defense, so people pretty much knew exactly where to look for the first mega token. And the game made it pretty clear as well, with there now being little bumps around the map which you can dig up. You dig until you get a treasure map, which hints at the trading hub, and then you can find a key which unlocks a maze. Complete the maze and you have to do a custom tower defense match, and then you can get another treasure map, which hints at entering this cave right here. And now the first actual puzzle.
Treasure calls to the worthy few. In light's embrace, let my feet move true.
And I'm sure it didn't take very long to figure out that this means you have to dance on the glowing platform. The game after that was Untitled Tag Game, and perhaps we got lucky, but this was the first of the tokens that would be found first by our team. This time it was Landy who was the first to get it, and he kind of just got there on accident while trying to get the normal token in the game. To start the quest, you had to enter one of these portals, but naturally you couldn't do that if you didn't first get the SpongeBob Tower Defense token. Past that, this quest isn't exactly rocket science, but what it is really well made. Like, they did not have to go this hard on the objective. There's even a custom soundtrack. Like, listen to this. I cannot applaud this quest enough. It's genuinely one of the greatest things to ever come out of a Roblox event. And the final chase sequence is just the cherry on top. I have no idea how they even got this made within the time constraints, but I really hope they get invited to future events, because this was just incredible. And it's worth noting that there was a hint to this game in the hub, with the solution being this. Not the greatest of puzzles, but it is what it is. After that was Pressure, and another great objective, but this time it did piss quite a few people off in the process. You know how Pressure is. The game is just really hard to complete, and the event objective did not disappoint in that regard either. First you had to find numbers around the lobby, and then go to the normal token quest, where you can now open a secret door with the full code. And then you had to get the numbers again, which was questionable, but here's where the hard part truly begins, because you have to go through the normal token quest all over again, except this time you're finding radios throughout. Find all the radios and you'll have a couple of symbols in your decoder, and then you just need to beat the rest of the quest until the very end, where you take a turn and enter a secret door. After which you can enter your symbols down here and you enter the final area, the vault, where you collect 30 little trinkets on another brand new map. I think this is where most people got really annoyed with the quest, because as you progress it just gets more and more difficult and really stressful. And I may not have had the pleasure to play this quest, because when I woke up this was already solved and Levi just offered to do the quest since he's maybe a tiny bit better at pressure than I am. But props to the pressure devs for making this. It really is just incredibly well made, especially considering they only really had maybe a few months to make it. And at this point comes the very first floor puzzle, which I am the one doing, but Vepix has already posted a guide on how to do it in our team server, so I don't really have to solve it at all. And keep note of how this is pretty much just a regular Sokoban puzzle with a twist. You might start to see a pattern emerging soon. Now at this point I genuinely just don't know how our team plays, because Roblox added a really misleading pop-up which made everyone accidentally make themselves anonymous. This got remedied later on though, so it wasn't really a big deal for the rest of the event. This is probably when I should tell you that Zeg coded a custom update tracker for the Team Discord server, a little something like the one in the Roblox discussion server, except this one also tracks sub-places. So not only did we know when a game updated, we knew when a specific sub-place in that game updated. So you can imagine our surprise when, around an hour before Floor 2 was supposed to release, Chained, the two-player obby, started to frantically update and add new sub-places. And after a lot of rejoining, someone on the team eventually figured out that you could do this. And then the game shut down for maintenance. But at this point we already knew exactly what to do, so we were just waiting for the game to open up again. And when it did, we blazed through the quest. By we, I mean the team. I didn't really do it that quickly. You know what the best part of this token was? The hint. We completely skipped the hint because we had the update tracker, but this is a really good puzzle. These emojis all correspond to units of measurement, and if you add them all together, you get 66 feet, which is equal to another unit of measurement, a Gunter's chain. Sorry, I think the hints are gonna be a very overlooked part of the event, and I just wanna shed some light on this. Honestly, this is a phenomenal hint. You know what isn't a phenomenal hint, though? This chessboard was actually out of bounds before Floor 2 even released, and we were able to identify the game being played as the 1985 Brisbane bombshell played between Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov. And what were Karpov and Kasparov? Well, rivals, of course, so the next game is Rivals. Nah, I'm just kidding, that would be dumb. The guy who was world champion before either of them was Bobby Fischer. So it's Fisch, of course. This chess game is even referenced in an episode of Lost titled Enter 77, like the Gunter number. And where does Lost take place? Well, on an island, of course. It is Rivals? Roblox just dropped a tweet. You have to find a target, rotate it 45 degrees and shoot it. Okay, it was not looking good for us at this point. The Rivals Mega Token took 21 hours to get solved, which no other quest would even get close to after it. And the fact that it was also discovered by pure accident caused us to fall behind. We were just shooting this wall trying to get it open without actually knowing what triggers it. If you get the wall open, then you had to do a coin flip on picking which boss to fight, with Sensei being pretty alright and Nozny being almost impossible. Kreek somehow managed to beat Nozny, which I didn't think was even a possibility, because it was just orders of magnitude harder than Sensei. And not even an hour later, the Clip It Mega Token was also found, and to be fair, it pretty much just gives you a pop-up which confirms you're in the right game, so there's not much to talk about here. You just equip certain hats and go to certain maps based on the riddles it gives you. And like 30 minutes later, World 0 was also found, this time by a streamer, so a lot of people got it right after he did. Note that Reddy is level 150 in the game, so he knew his way around the map and he was able to uncover the 3 hidden gems very fast. After that was a little puzzle and then a fairly easy boss fight. Reddy actually ended up at number 1 on the token leaderboard after this, but he fell behind on the block pushing puzzle at the end of floor 2. I'll skip over this puzzle and just say that this floor was absolutely abysmal for our team, with nobody even placing in the top 100. However, in the midst of all of this, a new team member was added, and you might already recognize him if you were following the event while it was happening. At this point, we finally knew exactly how the event format worked, so we were able to take a breather until... And just as the event launched, I was asleep for this. The footage you're about to see is all Levi, but trust me, this floor is where things started to get real. The first hint on floor 3 was this logo, which is a logo commonly found in Jandel games, specifically Field Trip Z. And you know what other game Jandel owns? A Dusty Trip. Now the quest here isn't necessarily very complicated, but it does still seem like we blazed through it really fast, with TK getting the token only 16 minutes after the release of floor 3. You had to assemble a portal with pieces found around this obby and then had to do a secret boss fight. And you were done. And then came maybe the single most hated quest of the entire event. A message encoded in Caesar cipher appeared in the lobby, which decoded to a quote from the zombie movie 28 days later. So the next game was Infection Gunfight. Now the quest here was simple in concept. You find goggles somewhere on the map and then you have to deal damage to or infect people with letters attached to them so as to spell out Mega Hunt. In execution, this was one of the worst quests included in any event ever. Not only did you have to do it all in one round, but if you accidentally got someone with the wrong letter, you had to do it all over again. This simple fact essentially halted the core gameplay loop of the game for the people trying to get the token. They just couldn't do anything unless they found someone with the correct letter. Couple that with most servers being full of people actually just trying to play the game, and you have an absolutely disastrous mega token quest. Now Roby though, he got ahead of it all, with the quest only taking him around 40 minutes to complete. And Levi followed not too long after, with it only taking him around 24 additional minutes, so he ended up being the 10th person to get this token. And around 20 minutes later, Oz found a lever in the Basketball Legends Hall of Fame, after which the quest was pretty elementary, with you simply having to find 3 shapes around the map and then shooting hoops from them in the specific order. And you had to beat an AI and you were done. Next up was this kind of crazy looking hint, but it was just a word search with the first letters of the word spelling out Metro Life. And this quest got pretty damn elaborate, but I honestly can't be bothered to explain it. Once again, it's not rocket science. You just needed to follow cryptic instructions that were being given to you through splash screens. They ended up getting through very quickly, with most people on the team obtaining the badge within a few minutes of each other, which left just one last token for this floor, and the hint would not be very helpful for this one. It is a very well made hint, but we instead figured out it was Hell's Kitchen through the update tracker. The game had updated a lot right before floor 3's release. The quest here wasn't too complicated either. I mean, really, most of the difficulty was just finding this board right here and then inputting it on the TVs in the basement subplace they added. Besides that, it was all very simple, which meant our team was in the lead right now. We were the first to find Metro Life, and now we were the first to find this as well. So there was just one last hurdle standing in the way. Floor 3 slider puzzle. Maybe you recall, maybe you don't, but during the Metaverse Champions event, one of the badges had you doing a 10x10 slider puzzle, and this badge only got around 5,000 owners in the end. So while this one wasn't quite as bad, with it only being an 8x8, it was definitely less than ideal. But in spite of that, our lead at this point was so big that 9 out of the 10 people on the leaderboard would end up being from our team. Just let that sink in for a second. If you really think about it, this probably shouldn't be happening. There were hundreds of thousands of people doing the event. The competition should have been bigger than ever this time around, and yet our little gunting group nearly did a clean sweep of the whole top 10. Roby was number 1 by around 8 minutes, which makes sense. He really is just that good. But the other people here aren't necessarily like slider puzzle experts. It was just the absolutely insane lead that we had. Levi managed to swipe 10th place on my account, which I couldn't take credit for, but I also wasn't exactly going around advertising that we are sharing accounts. Anyways, was this a fluke? Did we just get lucky on Infection Gunfight? At this point in time, who knows? To receive an answer, we kinda just had to see if we could do it again whenever it came time for... And you know what? I was actually awake for most of the solving process here, but all my footage corrupted when I tried to shut my PC down before ending the recording. I even tried to recover it, but
T-minus 1 minute until we get the clue.
Your gunting caps
Let's go,
on.
Roby. Let's go,
Your
Roby.
hunting caps on.
yeah. So you'll be seeing Roby's footage for most of this floor, but that's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. Arsenal had a soft lock. I got soft locked on Arsenal and fell like 30 minutes behind. And I got lucky, because the project ended up getting soft locked 8 times in total, so he fell behind like, what, 3 hours? Anyways, yeah, in case you haven't already guessed, Arsenal was the first game this time around, and we already knew this once again because of the update tracker. Arsenal updated the normal token subplace prematurely, and we found a random target that you could shoot down. The target didn't do anything at the time, but once the floor released, we instantly discovered that the target teleports you to a subplace. And I'll say it right now, this is a good-ass quest. It starts off with a few small tasks you have to do, and this is just reading comprehension. You don't have to do anything besides following instructions. But after that comes like a Blocktail sort of turn-based RPG game, which makes sense when you consider a lot of Arsenal's devs also work on Blocktails, but you know what I'm saying. And as you might have come to expect from Arsenal at this point, it's really well made. Really well made, besides the fact that you can randomly get softlocked at any point when killing an enemy. And yes, you do in fact have to do the tasks in the laboratory each time you get softlocked. Now, Roby and a few others actually got lucky and went through this quest without a hitch. So while 99% of people were stuck on Arsenal, they had already found where the next token was located. The hint was this little smiley face, which during the 2012 Roblox April Fool's hack, Stickmaster Luke became the sole owner of. And you know what else he's the owner of? Natural disaster survival. And this quest, more than any other, just feels absolutely surreal. I've played this game over the years, the buildings really haven't changed that much. So for natural disaster survival of all games, to get a whole secret extension of the lobby is genuinely the most insane part of this event for me. Hell, they even brought back the mysterious NPC here that was removed in 2018, making it a central part of the quest. And I know I keep saying this, but the quest is, once again, not rocket science. You go to the maps shown in all these displays, talk to the NPC, and he gives you a hint as to what disaster you should select. This got solved in a few minutes. And now they're on to the next hint, which looked a little something like this. Which they swiftly figured out was alluding to a Marvel Comics issue of the Fantastic Four, at the end of which Galactus proclaims he is going to consume the entire world. So the game is Eat the World, and the quest, as they once again very quickly discover, is not that complicated. Perhaps the hardest part comes at the very beginning, with you having to spot a brown hexagon embedded into the side of a hill. And then you had to do a sequence memory test hidden in the Hunt UI, which I did not notice at first, so although I don't have the footage, I looked for another hexagon for a solid 30 minutes thinking the game was broken. And after that, you are brought to the Egg Hunt 2012 map while eggs are thrown at you, which open up holes in the map.
Like we said, it's randomized, so it might not be in a spot that others have.
What?
It's a little annoying, but once they managed to do it, they then got this hint. It's an old car getting bit crushed, so while it's a little unclear, at this point it was fresh on our minds that the OG facility subplace of Car Crushers 2 had updated quite a lot, which is where they got to searching. And eventually, Oz stumbled upon a brand new hidden room, which seemed to require a key of some sort. Inside the room, you can see this image of commemorating my first derby victory, and Jakub would quickly connect the dots and find the key hanging around on the derby windscreen. From which point it was pretty simple, with there being pictograms on the lock clearly alluding to the in-game crushers. You use all of those crushers and you get the mega token. And they didn't even need a hint for the next game, because during the soft launch we discovered a colorful keypad in Blade League, which was promptly removed. Joined the game with the Car Crushers 2 mega token, and what do you know, the keypad is back. They very quickly got to checking all the maps for numbers and found them and beat the boss within a few minutes. So at this point they are so unbelievably far ahead. The floor had just released 2 hours prior and 5 of the 6 tokens were already found. Unfortunately though, this lead would not endure the very last game. Bayside High School. You gotta respect what Bayside did for their mega token. It's a true, honest-to-god gunting experience. You have to figure out a lot of oddly specific tasks based on vague hints, just as Ernest Klein intended or something. In spite of the Arsenal softlock and my stupidity on Eat the World, I managed to catch up to everyone else at this point. The issue is, so does KreekCraft. So everybody is pretty much on Bayside at this point. And I know I said this was a respectable quest, but the first step wasn't really so great. The badge for the mega token was called the Principal's Secret, and somehow that was supposed to point you in the direction of taking a picture of the camera inside of the principal's office. You can probably see how this stumped everyone for so long. Past this point though, the quest actually gets really clever. And since it's 2 AM and I have school the next day, I go to sleep and Levi takes over. Admittedly, this was probably a bad time for me to leave, since he kinda gets thrown in the middle of the most confusing quest in the event, but he manages.
It gets
Discovered that there's a new drawing of the chemical structure of caffeine in the science classroom, which ends up hinting at drinking coffee inside the room. This awards players a black light, which can then be used to find a little drawing on the playground, as hinted at by a drawing of the sun appearing in the science room. Then you can go to the history classroom based off the image being an Ankh and find another drawing using the black light. This drawing hints at the elements of helium and silver, and them being on a sign hints at you having to hold up a sign with their atomic numbers written. The next step is a little unclear, but I think some NPC outside one of the rooms must have said dead, which hinted at playing those notes on the piano. After which a new image appeared on the PC in the math classroom with the word pizza and the P replaced with the number pi. So you go to the pizzeria, order a pizza and bring it back to math class and place it on the calculator. After which all the green lights on this door will finally be lit up, and a hint we found at the very start of the solving process for this game comes into play. It basically just spelled out fart with capital letters and had a specific monitor highlighted, and if you use the fart emote at the specific chair that the monitor was at, you would get teleported to a minigame and pretty much have the token. Now that last step really saved us, cause we knew for a fact the fart emote had something to do with the solution, so it was pretty cut and dry for what to do. And that was the last token for this floor, which means... Yeah, I don't think it was a fluke. If I didn't know any better, at this point I would have said one of us was definitely gonna get top 10 and go to Roblox HQ. And I haven't mentioned them until now, but Eagle actually got a 30-minute time advantage for the final floor for getting number 1. The previous floors all had 10-minute advantages max, and they were pretty much useless, cause all they really did was give you a slight head start in solving the first token. So while being the top team 2 floors in a row was nice, and the 30-minute advantage was definitely nice, we knew it would all come down to how we performed in... Now at this point we are constantly getting accused of cheating, and it makes sense. If you aren't on the team, obviously you'll find it suspicious how all of this kept getting solved within minutes. However, the problem was that we weren't actually cheating. We had no additional intel over anyone else playing the event, so we could still fumble the bag at the finish line, and perhaps not one of us would even get the top 50 prize, let alone top 10. We also assumed that this floor would take much longer to solve than the other ones, seeing how there were 7 tokens to find now, and this was the last floor. So the plan myself and Levi came up with was that since the floor was releasing at 1 AM for me, he would play for the first 5 hours and then I could take over and he could just go to sleep, because surely it would take more than 5 hours to solve the tokens. Right? The first hint is found. It's a radio playing some elevator music, so the game is Regretivator. But they get stumped on this one for a while. It's unclear where to even begin. I'm not sure what exactly the situation was here, but the start of the quest was just behind this TV. I don't, maybe it wasn't there at first, but it seems like they blew the 30-minute lead here and only found it when Kreek did. Anyways, it does seem like Regretivator didn't have nearly as much time to make their quest as the other games, leading to it just being find 4 things and then find 4 more things. It's disappointing, but I for one hope they get invited back to another event, because the game has a lot of potential for a cool integration. But yeah, you do little tasks until you get numbers and then you can input them over here, which gives you the token.
The next game was Tower Defense Simulator.
The quest here was immediately made obvious, with there now being letters hidden around the map. Find all of them and you get Redcliffe Falls, which you then input into a machine. And after that you just had to beat a harder version of the normal token quest. Simple enough. The next hint was this text, which when turned upside down spelled go to PS99. So that was the next game. Little did they know at the time, this game was gonna separate the followers from the leaders.
We are 3 games behind because we can't figure out a gosh darn pet simulator.
Just by the updates on the batch tracker, you can tell this one went by slow, and our team was one of the first to get it. In fact, it seems like Levi might have been in the top 3 to get this one. Here's what had everyone stumped. Inside the St. Paddy's Day event, you had to type in knock knock to open a door, and I think this is a reference to a previous secret this game had. Anyways, after that, with absolutely no indication to show it, you had to spell out the word Gunter using the runes on this wall, and it didn't have any click effect or anything, you just had to eyeball it. Here's the thing though, they once again have done this exact puzzle before, so clicking the runes on the wall was a thing this game was known to have done before. And here's the really bad part, you then just had to click every last clover inside the raid with no click indicator or anything. And the thing is, they didn't even really figure this out. At some point Levi and Uflor just happened to meet the condition for getting the token and were able to move on to the next game. And once again, it was already known for a while that the game after Pet Simulator was Drive World, so they went straight there. This one was fairly elementary, but it did take a little bit to get, seeing how you had to push a ball across the entire width of the map and then find 4 code pieces scattered around it.
Somebody got
I wouldn't say our team exactly had a lead at this point, seeing as a few people were closely trailing us, so the pressure was still on. This was the hint for the next game, which Roby very quickly identified as being the Untitled Boxing Game place ID based on the positions of these symbols. It's honestly kinda insane to me how he didn't even really figure out which writing system this was, and instead just reverse engineered the solution from context clues. This game's quest, I think more than any other, feels like a find a comics puzzle with the very rough around the edges design and invisible pathways. And it also seemed to be incredibly buggy, with Devi, one of the people on the team, getting softlock 10 whole times. Jesus. But for the small fraction who were lucky enough to do it, this was the quest. Find a hidden rope, do a minigame, spam dash forwards until you're out of bounds, do a maze while your vision is obstructed, do the minigame again, spam dash again, and just do a boss fight. The select few who managed to get through this quest only had 2 possible games left to choose from, and the hint didn't leave a doubt in anyone's mind, with the texture for this TV having the It Girl logo, which we discovered before the event even started. But this one was rough for us. People like Spookiner and Green Pig XD pulled ahead by several minutes. The first step was just a regular scavenger hunt for some batteries, after which you got teleported to the proper Mega Token sub-place. And from this point on, it's basically just a piggy map, where you go around finding a lot of things. I'm not sure at which point we fell behind here, but the important part is that we definitely did, which meant that we'd have to make that time up in the very final game, that being Fisch. After a little bit of looking around, they found a door you could unlock somewhere on a random island, which led into a maze. Once you beat the maze, there was a pond, a jukebox, as well as a Cthulhu head, which played music notes. Every special fish you got from this pond corresponded to a note at the jukebox, and behind it there was a place to input the fish in a specific order. And this is unfortunately where Levi stops the recording to record his note order from the Cthulhu head, and then never restarts it. However, because this was the last game, you're able to view the exact specific order that everyone got the token, and it goes a little bit like this. Number 1, the Death Eagle. Number 2, Jeff K. Number 3, Spookiner, not on our team, that's fine. Number 4, Roby 100. Number 5, Landy. Number 6, Ooflord. Number 7, Teapot, also on our team. Numbers 8 and 9 are not on our team, but numbers 10 through 12 are. Including Levitator Levi on my account. He was 13 minutes behind Eagle, but remember, all the puzzles up till now have been the same for everyone. Except this one had a scary pop-up saying that if you leaked the solution, you would be disqualified. Which meant that it was every man for themselves, and what ensued next were surely some of the most stressful moments in all of their lives.
14, 15, 16, 17.
Not that I see. I kind of like this though. I'm gonna run with this for a minute. We'll run that there. We're gonna grab square.
Gentleman's game. As much as I hate it.
You wanna have what? Oh, why is there 2 the same slot.
I like this. I like this placement of doing this.
Yes, if there isn't this place, that's gonna be left behind.
How is it one bottom? What the hell?
This can, one of these can. I like this.
No. 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 No, 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 no.
That was already there.
Boom. Oh my god, I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. GG.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
I'm just deconstructing my whole entire thing again.
I did it! I did it! I did it! I did it! I did it!
We can't finish it, bro. I'm not even gonna get top 50.
I got it. I got it. I got it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, Feodoric's here?
You remember how I said, mathematics-wise, Levi is one of the smartest people I know. I woke up that day to find out that I was number 3 on the final leaderboard. And I had nothing to do with it. So many people were congratulating me on Discord, and I just had to take the credit for it. This was not part of the plan. Never at any point did I believe that 7 of the 10 people going to fight for the $1 million would be from our team, let alone me being one of them. I'm kind of panicking at this point. Would it even be fair for me to go to HQ? The final floor was not supposed to take this short of a time to solve. And besides, I probably couldn't get a passport in time. I could get a temporary passport, but then I'd need a visa, and that's a whole other story. But then, around 12 hours later, it hit. We had made a group chat of the top 10 players, and everyone seemed to get an email from Roblox. Except me, because I was disqualified. Now I could think of at least 3 different reasons this might have happened, so I was hoping for some kind of official answer from Roblox. And eventually I got one, and they did not, in fact, disqualify me for sharing the account. The public consensus seemed to be that I got disqualified for somehow password guessing or buying my account, but as far as I know, neither of those are true? Here, let's go back to 2018. I'm 10 years old at this point, and I joined a Roblox NameSnipe Discord server. I know, Discord at 10 years old, they got me young. For this server, I befriend someone, and at some point, after presumably a few weeks or so, this person gives me the credentials to the Feodoric account. And I'm pretty ecstatic about this. This account has a perfectly legitimate business hat on it, which, if you didn't know, opened from a gift from the 2009 Giftsplosion, which you got automatically if you had an email verified on your account. As far as I could tell, this account had pretty much lied dormant since it was created in 2007, only getting the gift because of it being an automatic process which didn't require you to log in. The business hat was worth around 6,000 Robux at this time, however you needed Builders Club to actually sell it, which might have been why the person gave me the account instead of just cashing it in themselves. After begging my parents a little, I managed to get Builders Club on the account, and I sent the Robux over to my main account at the time. A little while later I throw some kind of tantrum, as you do when you're 10 years old, and I decide that I'm going to quit Roblox. I start writing some really emotional bio, I buy a quit shirt, and then I instead opt to just abandon my main account I've been using for the past 4 years and swap to Feodoric. Now I don't know how my friend at the time gained access to this account. I really just don't, but if it was password guessed, I feel like Roblox moderation would have been on my ass a long time ago. Both Discord accounts involved in these DMs are long since deleted, and I honestly don't really know how I would contact the person who gave me the account. Last I heard they had some allegations put up against them. The unsavory kind of allegations. Now I don't know if those allegations were true, but I can't really seem to be able to find this person on any platform to confirm that, so I'm just gonna keep their name anonymous. Anyways, all that is to say, my account being old was not the reason for the disqualification. A while ago there were some people using some kind of support trickery to get people with supposedly stolen accounts locked out of them, including myself, and most of these people really did just get locked out forever. But I got the account back, you know why? Because I am Feodoric. I am the only person to have ever really used this account past its creation. But if that wasn't the reason for the disqualification, then what was? Well, to put it simply, exploits. I have exploits installed on my PC. If you go to my channel, you'll notice the biggest video I've ever made literally involved exploiting into subplaces under different games. And I have a few more videos in the works which involve similar methods, so I do just have exploits installed. Now, having them installed in the first place was only half the provided reason, and I need you to suspend your disbelief for a second. Just assume that I am the dumbest idiot to have ever lived, ever. We good? Okay, now put yourself in my shoes for a second. Picture this, you're planning to make a video which involves teleport services teleport function being fired from the client. And suddenly you get news that for the new hunt event, they've somehow found a way to prevent executors from firing this function. Now you know better. There's no possible way they could have done that for only executors without breaking old games which use that function. But you just can't help but check. You log out in Roblox player, create a burner account and test it. And the function still works, no shit. At this point you've gone through this process multiple times. You close out of the Roblox player, close out of the executor, reopen Roblox player, log out and then log back into your main account to avoid that weird error you get for having mismatched credentials after injecting an executor. Except you skip the first step and instead just log out and log back in from the exact same Roblox player instance, and then you just continue playing the event games like nothing ever happened. And what do you know? You get a 1-day ban for exploiting in Bayside High School. Okay, you can stop imagining now, because honest to god, this actually somehow happened. I promise, I'm not an idiot, but this whole situation has got me thinking I just might be. Perhaps this does make me just as bad as all the exploiters who are exploiting for an advantage in the event. But I have principles. I exploit purely for the content, and exploiting to get an advantage in something is just the lamest shit you could do in 2025. Ultimately, the person who got the short end of the stick here was Levi. I mean, he kind of got caught in the middle of my stupidity when he never even should have had a reason to play on my account in the first place. Zonny, if you're watching this, or any of the Arsenal devs, please, just unban this guy. He's been begging for an unban for multiple years at this point. I'd like to think that if he never tried to cheat in that 1v1 against his friend, he would have been one of the people going to HQ right now. But instead, he got nothing, none of the recognition, didn't even secure the top 50 prize for my account because I got disqualified. Go subscribe to Levi. Seriously, he deserves at least that much. And please, if you're an Arsenal dev watching this, just unban him. Dude chose the nuclear option and is currently in the process of swapping main accounts purely to get unbanned from Arsenal. And speaking of the top 50 prize, I wasn't the only one who got disqualified from getting it. Number 5 on the leaderboard, Anakin or Vepix, got disqualified for... well, who knows, really. Perhaps he's withholding information, but I trust when he says that he got disqualified for saying edgy things at 14 years old. Maybe he got banned for exploiting, who knows really, but I'm pretty sure he just got disqualified for a ban he got over a year before the event. Now, while that all seems pretty terrible, there is a silver lining to this. Us two getting disqualified allowed for Doug, another member of the team, to get the Federation, having placed at number 52 and being the very last person to receive it. Unfortunately, a lot of others on the team placed just outside of the top 50, including Jeff K, who, if you'll recall, was the second person to get Fisch. He really just tried and failed to solve the puzzle for 90 minutes straight. It's kinda tragic, honestly. But despite the many shortcomings, 5 of the 10 people going to HQ to compete for the $1 million were still part of our team, which was huge when you consider that we went into this event with the goal of getting just one person into the top 50. Either way, I think this is an absolutely blessed timeline, just being able to watch my friends competing for $1 million. Here's the placement of everyone from our team who got on the leaderboard. Here's something cool. Shayph was actually nice enough to bring Levi as his +1, so even though he wasn't competing, he still went to HQ and got all of the perks, such as being able to buy a $100 cheesecake with Roblox's money, I guess. Anyways, the finale consisted of 8 games. It was a progression system, so they'd play 5 of the games, and whoever had the most points at the end of each of them would move on to the final 4, after which they'd duel in 2 of the remaining games and whittle it down to the top 2. And the final game would be Tower of Hell, and keep in mind, Jay and Roby are absolute beasts at obbies, so if either of them were to get into the top 2, it would pretty much be over already. The competitors sat down to fight for $1 million, and the rest is history.
Joe Bartolozzi?
Joe Bartolozzi.
No way.
What?
What?
advancing to the top 4. It's none other than Duddy Dud.
No.
All right. And Darrell.
All right.
And the third finalist making it through after the conclusion of Slap
Let's go,
Battle.
Shayph!
It's Shayph.
But good.
Yeah! Orange outfit is Shayph. There he comes.
Actually, but yeah, it was. I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
He didn't.
That was incredible. You were to hear the most stressful game, the most stressful mode, and the most stressful performance. But guess what? You made it. Take a deep breath. You've got a whole new world of competition ahead of you, and 3 other challengers await you in the back.
He killed himself! He killed himself! Give him some
Great moment here for Shayph.
This is so good, man.
It's gonna win this. It's over. It has to be over. It has to be over.
It's over.
Yes,
No,
yes.
Guns, he stays up.
Yes, Ruby. Yes, Ruby.
Oh, he did it.
Roby, what are you doing? Roby, you had fun, okay? Oh my god. Nah, Roby knows.
Unfortunately, that means with lower health.
He wins, man. Like, it's like the worst lineup ever. It's the biggest sell ever, man. Just...
Roby, why?
Why, Roby? He wins the round, and he's our second contestant.
Oh my god.
Hey guys, welcome to the video. I'm just doing some sniping. Oh my god! Hey guys, welcome back to another video where today I'm gonna show you how to get the Chipotle napkin cape.
All right, my friend, any shout outs, any thank yous you want to give to the folks at home?
Shout out to Gagard, shout out to my parents, shout out to Cobb.
Cobb? He said Cobb! He said Cobb!
Why is my name Homing Missile? Alright, well, I gotta sign up for a security program now.
Yep.